Boys and girls, before starting our window fantasy drawing, I'd like you to look at the work of Hayao Miyazaki, who is the co-founder of Studio Ghibli. He made many amazing films over the last several decades, such as Spirited Away, Already, and Howl's Moving Castle. And a lot of them have really beautiful fantasy worlds that I think would be a great inspiration point for this project. Also, many of you like to watch anime and manga cartoons, which also have some really exciting and beautiful worlds. So take a moment, look at those videos, and get your creative juices flowing. Okay, so by watching those trailers, you probably saw some really unique fantasy worlds emerge. So, for example, in Spirited Away, the young girl goes into this ghost realm. And in the film Ariete, everything in the world is very large because she's a tiny person. So what would normally be trees to us are just the size of flowers. And then finally, in the film Ponyo, we see this kind of watery fantasy world emerge. Um, what I'd like you to do is kind of sit next to a window and think about what kind of themes you'd like to create. You can choose to make a fantasy world inspired by what you see in some of the Ghibli films, or you can go with whatever comes in your mind. For example, when I was sitting next to my window, I was looking at the bright clouds outside, and so I started to think about creating a world of weird hot air balloons. So I created these kind of strange hot air balloons out of flowers. I also am making, well, you only have to make one example, but I just made several just to show you. I was sitting in my kitchen and I was thinking about all the things on my countertop, like a cup and a bottle of wine and milk, and I started to think about like, well, if I was just like the Ariete film, if I were tiny, what would this world look like? So I created like a tiny world out of my window inspired by what's in my kitchen. And then finally, at nighttime, I hear cats always like fighting outside of my window. And there's also like laundry clotheslines that my neighbor hangs up. And so I thought it would be fun to create this world where like cats are moving around and playing on the laundry. And these are just things that came to my mind. This lesson, I really can't tell you what to do. It's just got to be wherever your imagination takes you. So I'd like you to write down one or two themes that you would like to pursue now. So I want to give you just a couple tips for completing this assignment. First thing is, whatever world you create, please make sure it's weird and strange. Don't make something that we already really see in the world, but try to be strange. The next thing is, to make it feel believable or realistic, look up images on the computer that are going to help you draw what you see in your mind. It's really difficult sometimes to draw what we imagine, and we need help, and the only way to do that is to find help online. So for example, when I wanted to make hot air balloons made out of flowers, I don't know how to do that. I've never seen that before. So I Google searched images like hot air balloon and lilies. And I looked at those two pictures and then I started to draw it. I couldn't just draw it from my mind. The last tip that I want to give you is I want you to create showing distance from near to far. And some tips on how to draw something to look close and far are, if you want to make something look close, you draw it very big. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say I just draw a plain hot air balloon now to save some time. I'm going to draw a plain hot air balloon here, and I drew it really big so it looks closer to my window. If I repeat that same shape here small, now it just looks far away, and I could kind of do an in-between, and that one looks closer. Now, things that are closer to the bottom typically communicate as something that's close to us. Things that are at the top usually look further away. So as a review, when you're making something that looks close to you, make it look big and closer to the bottom, and things that are far away make smaller and further to the back. And you can see that I did this for my other examples that I drew for you. The cats are bigger in the front here and then smaller in the back. The wine bottle here is big, and then the glass of wine is small. Finally, the last tip is I would encourage you to stay away from drawing people unless you feel really comfortable drawing people, because people are the hardest things to draw. Objects, shapes, cars, castles, trees, flowers, plants, animals, anything else tends to be easier. People are hard, so stay away from them unless you feel really confident. And also, your picture can be very 2D. It doesn't have to be 3D. All I want to see with this assignment is some creative and weird and strange designs. It doesn't have to be realistic in any way. Okay, I look forward to seeing your drawings.